Yeah.
Welcome to the No Budget Indie Filmcast, where we dip into the independent film universe so that you don't have to. Will you agree with our panel, or will our panel agree with each other? You got to tune in to find out. I am Milo Dennison, and with me, as always, is Claire Milan
Hello.
and Cathal Feeney.
Hello.
Okay, Claire, what are we watching this week?
So this week we're watching a film. Okay, it's not exactly no budget because very famous people are involved in it, but it's a film I actually read about and I never saw. It's called Dear Basketball, and it's actually written by Kobe Bryant, who very sadly lost his life back in January in a plane crash, and his daughter. And Um, yeah, it's based on a letter he wrote just he was about to retire, and it was transformed into an animation by Glenn Keane, and the music is by John Williams, and it won an Oscar in 2018, a short animation Oscar. It just tells the story of Kobe, just kind of an ode to basketball, and when he was a young kid, he'd roll up socks and throw them into a made up net, and just his whole connection to playing on the court, and how his body was kind of giving way, and it his last time, going out. And it's really, I find it very emotional watching it, and very sad and poignant, particularly because he's not with us anymore. What I Yeah, so this is what I chose this week. So what do you think of it?
Are you a fan of Kobe Bryant? Like, do you follow basketball over
No,
there?
I actually recently I started watching that documentary about Michael Jordan, The Last Dance,
Oh yeah.
and I got so sucked into it. Like, I wouldn't normally follow basketball, but it was just with that documentary, and the dedication of these, like Michael Jordan is obviously very, very high dedicated, but his whole all the teammates, and like their lives, and how much they put themselves through to play basketball at that level. I just got really sucked into that world, and then I was kind of fascinated with it ever since I watched that documentary. And when I heard about this, I kind of sought it out there last week and just sat down to watch it, and it was so beautiful, it just, and it really, I find it very moving. um and he's a lovely voice, Kobe Bryant. He's a kind of a lovely voice for voiceover, and he had retired, I think a few years before, and he I think this is what his new, he kind of wanted to get more into film and animation. It looked like he was going that way. And it was, yeah, I just thought it was beautiful. And also on YouTube you can see the animator talking about how he animated it, and he used new techniques. Like, he was thinking, okay, how would he animate sweat, so he's got his iPhone, and took a picture of one of the drawings, and he made a negative out of it. And then, because in a negative, the white turns into black, and black turns into white, and he got a rubber and rubbed out big parts of Kobe and the basketball players to show kind of sweat within the animation. And he studied anatomy as well, and he went to Kobe's games and saw how he actually, how the body would, could be animated to show the anatomy playing basketball. So I just thought it was fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was in light of his tragic demise. It was very poignant watching it. As sort of this sort of love poem to basketball, and it captured the movement very well. The kind of sort of fluid, liquidy kind of quality about it. As Mala said, though, like, basketball isn't a huge sport, certainly in terms of following at this side of the world. I mean, people know about, there are certain people that transcend the sport. Michael Jordan would be one of them, and Kobe Bryant, I guess. And there's a lot of people play it, and there's probably a loyal following. But in terms of, like, the coverage, it wouldn't be massive. So even though you kind of, you knew when you heard he died, you knew it. it didn't have the same sort of emotional kind of resonance as if it was, say, somebody like maybe more famous on this side of the world. But that, I mean, that's nothing to do with the film. But I mean, it was it was a very very beautiful, very well made. I'm surprised it won an Oscar. I didn't actually know that. That was before he died, I guess, was it?
Yes, it was 2018, and it's funny because we reviewed another animation called Negative Space, and I was up against that in the animation category. But it's just, I think, like he was the first black man or black person to win an Oscar in the animation category, and he was the first athlete, I think, to win an Oscar. I think is that true? Is there other athletes that won Oscars?
No idea.
Because I was looking up earlier.
Unless Johnny Weissmuller ever won.
I'm not sure.
I don't know if you know Johnny Weissmuller. He was he started in all those Tarzan films in the 30s, and he was an Olympic gold medalist swimmer.
Sean Connery was an athlete, so I guess it depends on like what level of athlete. Like, I mean, I don't think he did anything professionally, but he was quite athletic.
Well, I think
Burt Reynolds,
basketball player.
Although Burt Reynolds didn't win an Oscar, but Burt Reynolds no, he did win a supporting actor on an Oscar, didn't he, for Boogie Nights?
I don't know.
And
actually, do you know who else was this is not really film related, unless he won for best song or something. But Johnny Mathis, I don't know if you ever know Johnny Mathis.
Yeah,
I think he was like either a high jumper or a long jumper or something in the Olympics.
But it was
kind of Negative Space. So this one won the Oscar that year, and Negative Space lost against it.
Yeah.
I would say Negative Space was definitely the better film, short animated.
I think with this winning, it was quite short as well, actually, because I was surprised when I was kind of seeking it out. I thought, is this just a trailer? Do you know? Just when I saw the length of it. But I know they're short animations, but usually short animations are even a bit longer. Do you know, this is 4 minutes and something, But I think Negative Space deserved the Oscar more, but I think this won because of who was involved in it. I think John Williams, is he the famous composer?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, with Star Wars and and then obviously Kobe Bryant. So if you were a judge and you're watching this, and it is so poignant, it does pull in the heartstrings, But if this wasn't in it.
So a love letter to basketball beat a love letter to a dead father.
I know they're both heartbreaking, but I think this probably tipped it over the post because Kobe Bryant is in it and he's a huge star in America. Like, we don't have the basketball thing here, but in America he's like huge, or he was huge.
He was accused of raping somebody.
Oh, I know.
Accusation isn't the same as guilt.
Even if he didn't, and to be honest, even if he didn't, even if it was consensual, which it probably, very well could have been, that means he cheated on his wife.
Yeah.
Anyway, you have to tiptoe around it because you can't libel the dead. Okay.
Yeah. No, I know, but I know people are really like fans of him and like really love the guy. But I'm just saying, like, even if it was consensual sex, he still cheated.
He wasn't a stand-up guy.
Exactly. Like everybody idolizes him. Like he's this amazing human being, and he and don't get me wrong, like he was an amazing basketball player, and he did a lot of good stuff for like charities and that kind of stuff. And but I'm just saying I don't think he deserves to be necessarily idolized in the way that he is.
And I think true, like it's so tragic, but I read about that, and he did cheat on his wife, and he does like he wasn't a saint, but people, I suppose in America, they kind of put him up there in sainthood. It's like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was a terrible bully to people, really, really bad, but people again idolize him and they brush over the darker parts,
Yeah.
So,
like when you're on a pedestal like that, you'd really want to do something terrible to kind of be pushed off of it. And there's no doubt he lived the dream as a young boy. He wanted to be a basketball player, and it all came and became one of the best basketball players. But I wonder, was there something, just to be devil's advocate about it a little bit, but was there something kind of self-indulgent about it, that it was about what basketball did for him? It wasn't inclusive of the wider world of basketball. What the joy and satisfaction he gave to people who watched it, and the game. You know, it was about him and basketball more so than anything.
I think it was originally written in a magazine, just kind of, yeah, as again as just as an ode to basketball, a love letter to basketball. But yeah, it is kind of in one way self-indulgent, I suppose you could say, because he doesn't talk about other stuff really but himself. But I didn't notice that as such, you know. It didn't take
Well,
away.
I mean, I
Yeah.
was just trying to get it, you know, get a take, an alternative take, because you know, as there's probably like, you know, millions of young kids around the world who dream of doing exactly what he did, and 99.99% of them doesn't happen for them, you know. So
But it is
so
amazing that, like, I love there's one part animation where he's his younger self and himself, you know, and they're both going for the basket. But it's yeah, he was lucky that when he was 6, like that he grew up to be whatever tall, you know, 6 foot something, you know, he grew up into the build of a basketball player. Because there's probably other little boys who'd love to be a basketball player and maybe they don't get the opportunity, they're not as good, or, you know, yeah, it's yeah, but it didn't take away from it really, like the fact it was.
no, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't really. Yeah, but you'd question whether it was worthy of
An Oscar.
an Oscar.
Yeah. I often question Oscar-winning films are worthy of an Oscar, truthfully.
But I mean, if you're right, and it was a sort of the way it was animated, and it was something original about the way it was animated, that perhaps, you know, that.
I was reading earlier, they said, Glenn Keane, who animated it, like they tried out new techniques, like that technique of like how to you know, draw sweat, like it's that's kind of really fascinating. And yeah, I think they experimented a lot with different things. There's probably stuff in this that we wouldn't see because we're not animators, but they must be observing like how exactly they animated it. Like, you know, if they were judging it, I'm sure there's maybe I don't know how is this judged by all the Oscar panel, or is it an animation studio judges it? I'm not sure.
That's a good point, because Negative Space, I mean, the stop motion of Negative Space, there wasn't really anything new, you know, done stop motion wise. I mean, they used your standard stop motion effects and skills, to whereas if they're being measured on, are you doing something new, and the fact that the way they animated this is in a way that hadn't really been done before, that makes sense.
But
yeah, like
I don't think, like, I mean, we interviewed Vincent Lam, and he talked about the judging and the judging process. So it's open to the Academy, you know, and people who've previous winners primarily for this short. So perhaps like people who have won animation awards will be looking at it from an animation point of view, not as more so than their heart strings.
Yeah. So rate it.
Yeah. So I think for me, I thought it was a beautiful animation. Extremely sad, especially the end when he says love Kobe. It's like he's signing off, you know. It's yeah, but it is, yeah, I think it's beautiful. Lovely animation. I loved his voice in it, and the music as well by John Williams. I'll give it 4 out of 5.
I liked it, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it even really counted as a film in my point of view, in my opinion, more so than just a, you know, love video. Basketball's never really interested me as a sport, mostly because I suck at it. And so as an animation exercise, it's nice. But beyond that, it just didn't do anything for me. So I'm going 2 stars.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. So yeah, I thought it was a nice film, and it was poignant and well animated. But it didn't, beyond that, I wasn't blown away by it or anything like that. So still, I think it's worthy of 3 stars for me.
Okay. We all disagree on this one. That's interesting.
Good job, Clara. You picked one that we disagreed on.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because your hearts are made of stone. That's why.
True. If it would have been on like a baseball or something, I would have given it like 5 stars.
I would have given it 1 if it was baseball.
Oh, see, there you go. So you
No,
got to
not
pick the right
really.
sport. Some, like baseball player that I'm a fan of. Mhm.
Yeah. No, it was okay. I mean, I think because it was Kobe Bryant and because it was John Williams, that it sort of elevated it to a certain stature.
And you know what's mad? It's only January he actually died. Do you know?
Oh, really? That recent?
Yeah, like January 26th, I think. And just to think that, like, it seems like it was 5 or 6 years ago he died. You know?
Yeah, it does.
But to think so much has happened this year, like.
Well, everything before COVID seems like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, true.
Just
That's what it is.
crazy. Like, time is just strange this year. You know what I mean? It's just the strangest, like the way time is going. It's, I think for everyone, you know.
And it was about like 6 or 7 people died, wasn't it? It wasn't just him and his
It was his daughter. Very sad because his daughter was 13. And
yeah, that's sad.
There was lots of other people on that, wasn't
there?
there?
Yeah, there was her friends, and yeah, it was like 8 people.
The pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there might have been like 6 people on it, but I don't know for sure.
The funny thing about it is, well, not funny, but I mean, when somebody like that dies, somebody famous dies, you sort of, you feel you know them, but you don't. Yeah. So it sort of it brings home our mortality, you know. And so somebody dies young, and we all walk around with the knowledge that one day, you know, we're going to die. We're not going to live forever. But we sort of, you know, push it forward. It'll be years from now. But we sort of live in denial about it a lot of the times. But when it happens to somebody, you think you know. It does kind of bring it home a bit more. So
it's like Caroline Flack died then in February, you know, and that was really, really horrific as well, you know. That's really sad.
Yeah, it's true. Well, No Budget audience, there you go. We're going to leave this one on a bit of a downer, talking about death. You can always let us know what you think via our social media channels, which are at No Budget Show on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. You can leave a review if you are listening to this in the form of a podcast, or if you are watching it on YouTube, leave us a comment and let us know what you think. And with that, we will say, see you next time. Goodbye.